The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. But for those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads Radio. Sackheads Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen. It was the biggest spider I ever seen. Why do you still have that in the intro?
Known to mankind. Why do we still have that?
It was like Mothra.
It was the spider version of Mothra. Good evening. This is the Sackheads Radio Show on the 29th of January, 2014. I am your host, Sackhead Sean, with the other host, co-host.
Sackhead Clint.
I'd call you the bro host. You're
what
the
is
bro host?
Listen, just because I brought in KCCO Black Lager for us to drink tonight on the air.
Yeah.
I'm like and pizza. I'm like your favorite person on earth. I came in with pizza and KCCO Black Lager, and your eyes lit up. It was like you were 3 staring at Santa Claus.
Well, and here's the best part, is you went out of your way to tell me that you did it to get to the top of the co-host list.
I did.
To make sure that you at least get close to Tammy.
Right.
And I'm not going to lie, you did a pretty good job. You are in the ballpark right now.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're number one yet.
Am I like out in left field? Am I like on third base? Like, where are we talking in the ballpark here?
You know what?
Am I like on third base stealing home?
You're in
like,
the bleachers.
What's
you're in the bleachers. What?
I'm going home. You know what? I'm really bummed because nothing happened this week. I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
What a boring
it was horrible. Nothing of significance, certainly, especially if you saw the State of the Union. There's...
It's one of those funny things, too, What?
We did pick up a new listener this week.
Who?
Shannon.
Who's Shannon?
She's a new listener.
Outstanding.
We want to say hello. Thank you, Shannon. No idea who I really am, which is perfect.
That's even better.
Yeah.
I'm just glad they listen. So I talked to my friend who's a liberal.
You don't have a friend.
All right, half a friend.
Okay.
Right. It's a guy,
and I'm not liberal.
It's a guy I pay.
So you called me earlier this week.
Right.
Okay.
No. So I have a friend of mine who's a liberal, and he's voted for Obama twice. Not
on purpose?
Yeah, well, not necessarily 100% the second time, but kind of did it because there was nobody else type of thing. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Wrong.
Right. But
no.
He made a very distinct point to state that watched the State of the Union last night, turned it off halfway through, realized it's the same crap that he's been saying nonstop. It has done nothing, and essentially said that if you have to wave executive orders in people's faces because you can't get along with Congress, maybe it's not Congress's fault, maybe it's you. So
now, wait a second.
I like
why did he say that? I mean, why does he hate black people?
I don't think that's where he was going.
Well, listen, if Obama were to hear that remark, or like MSNBC, I'm guessing that's the question they would pose. So I'm being a responsible journalist.
That's not responsible journalism.
Oh, it's not?
No, not at
so
all.
we're not taking our cue from...
I refuse.
Okay, I apologize then. Never mind. Listen, we're trying to break into the big time, right? We're like in AAA ball right now.
We are?
Well, like farms in Little League. But that's not the point. Okay, we're in the game.
You know what? We're at least at the ballpark, and that's good.
We are at the ballpark in the bleachers, as somebody once told me.
I definitely appreciated the fact that he can admit that. And I think it shows, and we're going to get into the State of the Union, but I think it shows that little bit of that gloss that everyone's just every liberal on the face of the planet still says he has is really starting to go away more and more. And to me, it's a little enlightening. It's a little. I actually get a little
smile.
Yeah, I smiled a little bit knowing that he now understands what a horrible decision he made. And I just told him that. I said, that makes me happy. And he said, why? And I said, because
Did you say, listen, Carl?
No, it wasn't.
Really?
Oh, gosh, no.
Okay.
But, yeah, no. So it's starting to show you that I think America, even though some of the liberals might be or the independent liberals, if you will, the centrists.
The Democrats?
Yeah, the original Democrats. They're about 2 years behind the curve.
Real Democrats?
So,
okay.
Yeah, they're a little slow as far as picking up on it, but I'm glad there's some starting to come around. I want to thank everyone who joined us in the chat room this evening. Check us out on Twitter as well. We'll see you next week. That's all I wanted. No, I'm just kidding. 347-205-9399 is the phone number if you want to join the conversation. How was your week?
It was. I don't remember my week. It was a blur, and it's not that I don't remember because I was drunk. Because that wasn't the case. It's just been. It seems like we did the show yesterday.
Right.
That was last week.
And we actually did it 8 days ago. That's the even better
right.
part.
But I did a bunch of stuff. That's a technical term, stuff. And now I'm here again, and I don't remember. I cannot tell you what I did the last 8. I think I slept maybe a total of 4 hours.
Between the last show and now?
Right.
You lucky devil. I'd kill for 4 hours. So
my week was okay. How was yours?
It was all right.
Anything exciting happened?
Absolutely. My mother came to visit from the East Coast for a few days.
Congratulations.
So it was pretty awesome. It's always great to see Mom, my Aunt Ellen, and a friend of theirs, Richard, came out as well. So that's always a blast.
Nice. How's Dick doing?
Excellent.
Tell him I said hello.
And we'll stop there. Moving on. No, it was
like
great.
I would take it anywhere inappropriate.
Oh, yeah, you would never. It was great. Spent some time. I haven't seen my mom in almost a year, so that was always good to see my mom. So
you know what I've been doing a lot of lately? Don't answer that. But I've been. You know who is? Can I do that? Can I say that? Because it's spelled differently, right? I've been listening to a lot of and watching Hawaii Life and wanting to move to Hawaii a lot. Everybody who listens to our show knows that
you are semi-Hawaiian,
just by looks. By my family, my family's from the islands, and so I want to move there. I want to go back. So we can still do the show.
Yeah, well, I'll be in Montana, hopefully, so that'll work out well.
Which will work out well because we'll have the whole nation covered pretty much. And honestly, let's face it, you'll have a place to stay.
I'm not flying that far ever.
Yeah, you will. You'll come sit on the beach with your Vienna sausage toes sticking in the sand, and all my guns will be with you in Montana.
Yeah, so you can't have any. So State of the Union happened this week. And
it did?
Yeah.
Where was I?
Last night. Remember when you said, hey, you want to go do something that's more important? And I said, no, I can't, because there is nothing more important than me laughing hysterically.
I remember when I said, hey, what time are you off work? Let's watch the State of the Union and get drunk. And you said, no, let's just get drunk. And we ended up just watching the State of the Union, which was really against everybody's plan.
So, listen, I mean, it's the same. This is the same Barack Obama who gave the same. Like, it's not.
Yes, it's the same Barack Obama who gave a State of the Union before.
You know what I mean.
That was brilliant. Listen, MSNBC is going to be taking notes on our journalism tonight. That was beautiful.
You know what I mean. It's the same crap. And you know what's funny is all of a sudden the economy is now like his big hot button issue.
What else is it going to be?
5 years. And he keeps blaming, and we're going to talk about it, but one of the overall thing is he keeps going to Congress saying, you have to work with me or I'm going to go around you, whatever. But he keeps going back to Congress. And one of the things that I find absolutely amazing is that didn't he have both the House and the Senate for the first 2 years? Could he not have passed anything that he had wanted?
He did. It's called Obamacare. And they've done a great job with it.
Right, but instead of him having to do a whole State of the Union on how poor the economy is and how it's come back in certain, 4 million new jobs in the last 4 years, notice he didn't talk about how many were lost. He didn't really want to get into those numbers because it offsets it quite a bit. Blah, 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 Affordable Care Act, economy, unemployment's the lowest than it's been in 5 years. That's because less people are actually looking for work, Mr. Obama, et cetera, et cetera. You could have changed a lot of this, and whether or not I necessarily agreed or disagreed with how you did it, if in the first 2 years he made the economy his real focus of the administration and used the power that he had by having a Congress that was sympathetic to him and would have voted with him, he could have gotten a lot further. And then if he did health care now or whatever, and it was actually true health care reform versus Obamacare, I think history would shine a much brighter light upon him.
Here's the problem. A lot of what he talked about, and I don't want to get too deep into our show right now, but a lot of what he talked about was, he talked about the economy and so forth, yes, but he talked about economic inequality.
Yes.
And you know what? Get ready for the folks to light up and start hating us. He sounded like a Marxist.
What?
I know, it's shocking, right? But he really did. He when he talks about this income inequality, so that means that everybody should be equal, correct?
Yeah.
Everybody should be exactly the same, correct?
Absolutely.
How is that not Marxism? You cannot have everybody be exactly the same.
No.
We are set up in a free market economy. We have a constitution. We have individual choices, individual liberties, blah, blah, blah. All the talk you've heard from us and other conservatives. Mm-hmm. You cannot have pure equality in terms of economic status. And it's not that I enjoy people being poor. I enjoy people being super rich.
Right.
That's the system we operate in, and we have our poor, quote unquote poor, is better off than the rest of the world's population.
Almost everybody.
So
only Iceland has poor that are better off than us.
I have a real issue with. Now I'm not saying, listen, people that need a hand up, we don't give them help. That's not what I'm saying at all. Sometimes people need help, and I'm okay with.
And we are, by
that.
the way, one of the most generous nations on the face of the planet.
We are
our own people, and
we are the most generous nation. And so I take umbrage with.
I took the umbrage too.
And it was really good, but with that aspect and we can get into that a little bit more later. But that's one of the things that I noticed.
And we can talk about the inequality, the actual wording, but let's talk about the inequality, how he means it, versus if he had said it differently. Now, if he said, I want to make sure everyone has equal opportunity in the sense of to have jobs, he did touch on the fact that women make 77 cents less on the dollar.
But that was not true.
Sorry, not 77, 33 cents less on the dollar than men. And if he said, well, we got to make sure that women are getting paid equal because they're doing the same job, okay, we can have that conversation. I agree that I don't care who's doing the job, they should get paid what anyone else would get paid.
No, I agree with that, but here's one problem with his analysis, is men and women make different life choices, and women tend to leave the workforce more often than men when certain life events happen, such as children and so forth. So it's a very difficult number to gauge, and how is that number being measured? Now, yes, if you compare apples and apples, and a man and a woman are doing the exact same job, they should make the exact same amount of money, exact
Absolutely.
pay scale.
Man and a woman are on a construction site, and they're both swinging the hammer for the same roof. They should get paid the exact same dollar no matter what.
Exactly. But if you're looking at like weekly wages, if you're looking at hourly wages, if you're looking at monthly wages, those numbers shift. And that's why his statistic of 77 cents for every dollar a man earns is inaccurate. It's not true. We're not talking about hour for hour, and that's what needs to be compared.
Right.
And again, because those other choices come into play.
So, but to get back to what I'm saying, this whole inequality thing that he's preaching about, and making sure everyone's equal and on the same, like you said, it's an uber Marxist statement to say that. And all he had to do was change it to the word opportunity.
But that's not what he believes.
Exactly. And that's how you know it wasn't a faux pas of wording. It wasn't like he said opportunity 1,000 times and one time left it out where you're like, oh, okay, just whatever. The fact that it's the opportunity isn't even the question. It's the equality no matter what, financially, despite what you're doing, and everyone
or not doing,
and everybody should be equal. That's the problem. That's the issue, and that is a very clear insight into his belief on our financial system and our country as a whole.
Of course.
So let's get in the State of the Union, and we'll
it's screwed up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were going to press clip. I thought, okay.
And we're going to talk a little bit here on the other side of the break. So here's the first clip. This is his opener. I'm going to let it play out because it kind of sets everything else up.
So much. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans. Today in America, a teacher spent extra time with a student who needed it and did her part to lift America's graduation rate to its highest levels in more than 3 decades. An entrepreneur flipped on the lights in her tech startup and did her part to add to the more than 8 million new jobs our businesses have created over the past 4 years. An auto worker fine-tuned some of the best, most fuel-efficient cars in the world and did his part to help America wean itself off foreign oil. A farmer prepared for the spring after the strongest 5-year stretch of farm exports in our history. A rural doctor gave a young child the first prescription to treat asthma that his mother could afford. A man took the bus home from the graveyard shift, bone-tired, but dreaming big dreams for his son. And in tight-knit communities all across America, fathers and mothers will tuck in their kids, put an arm around their spouse, remember fallen comrades, and give thanks for being home from a war that after 12 long years is finally coming to an end. Tonight, this chamber speaks with one voice to the people we represent. It is you, our citizens, who make the state of our union strong. And here are the results of your efforts. The lowest unemployment rate in over 5 years, a rebounding housing market, a manufacturing sector that's adding jobs for the first time since the 1990s, more oil produced at home than we buy from the rest of the world, the first time that's happened in nearly 20 years. Our deficits cut by more than half. And for the first time in over a decade, business leaders around the world have declared that China is no longer the world's #1 place to invest. America is.
Okay, so where do we start? Let's start with the 8 million.
I'll give you a choice. You have the teacher story. You could have business coming back, 4 million new jobs, foreign oil, Affordable Care Act, or the health care.
He said 8 million new jobs, right?
No, he said 4.
Okay.
And the war coming back after 12 years.
You said manufacturing sector.
Coming back. I'm getting to it. Okay. Housing's coming back, lowest unemployment, more domestic oil is being produced now than there ever has been in 20 years, and the deficit's cut in half.
I'll take deficit cut by more than half for $600 billion.
And the answer is $17 trillion.
Okay. The federal budget deficit.
What is?
What is the federal budget deficit, which has declined from 1.3 trillion to about 600 billion, is not a lot to brag about. He's talking about just a federal budget deficit, not the national debt, right?
Right.
So our deficit's cut by more than half. Let's think about it. The 2009 figure he inherited from Bush, but he also put through an $800 billion stimulus bill with that. Obama did.
Yeah.
Right? And why did the deficit go up in the first place? Oh, yeah, because of the recession.
Right.
So, of course, the deficit has naturally decreased, the budget deficit, as the economy has improved, even slowly. So that's not much to brag about, Mr. President, and it took a long time to get there. And we still have a higher budget deficit as terms of percentage of gross domestic problem than we had before he took office.
But it's declining.
And we have a bigger debt overall from when the economy was actually... Yeah.
You took that moment away from him.
I'm sorry. Than it was prior to
on top of all the lists that we just listed, too, Ken from the Exceptional Conservative Show wanted to point out that we do have the lowest VD rate
venereal disease
than in Hong Kong since World War II.
Oh.
So that's always nice. That's something to be proud of.
That's something to be very proud of.
Housing market's roaring back. Well, first of all, it's more like a trickle.
It's more like a meow than a roar.
Second of all, too, is the reason some houses in some cities being worth more is because they're being destroyed and eliminated. Places like Detroit and stuff like that are literally destroying thousands of homes.
Yeah, those are crack houses.
Right, so they don't count.
So they don't count. So you can't count that.
And it did dip, and Ken beat me to the point, it did dip down 7% in December.
Uh-huh.
But let's face it, inflation's starting to go up, so house prices are starting to be worth more. And I also want to discuss on that, even though the housing market's coming back, he feels it's necessary to pass a bill. And he says this later on in the speech, and I forget about what minute. I have all my notes here. But he says he wants to pass like a housing protection bill to make sure that nobody gets kicked out of their home ever again.
Never.
He was talking about a woman in, I think, Indiana, Oak Park.
So wait a second. Does that mean if you're a squatter, that you can't be kicked out of your home? Because that's your home now, right?
Right. It's about the 38-minute mark. Why is it Congress or the government's job to make sure that you don't take a loan that's too big for you to pay back? Now, listen, the story he told about this woman from Oak Park, Indiana, was tragic. Her and her husband saved money, did everything they're supposed to do, took out a mortgage. They both lost their jobs within a few weeks of taking out the mortgage as part of the economy that he chose not to fix the first 2 years he was in office. Now, he could have, and maybe that could have saved him, maybe he could have.
Well, he could have passed legislation. I don't know that he would have fixed the economy because his policies.
He could have given it a shot.
Right. Could have given it a college try.
Controlling 1/6 of our overall economy and doing.
You're digressing right now.
Right. No reason for me to go there.
No.
But what he could have done is that, and instead, he passed Obamacare. Now, I feel horrible for those folks because they also got hit on the fact that the unemployment insurance ran out. They seem like good, hardworking people. I don't know their whole story, but what he said, I felt you feel bad for somebody like that. However,
see, I have a hard time trusting his stories.
Right, well, it's not vetted. I will give him the face value on the individual stories that were told. But
didn't he have one that proved not to be true?
He may already have one. I haven't even gotten to that point.
Okay.
Yet. But the simple fact is why should we finance or take on or fix or adjust or pass a bill, that has like a mortgage? If you want to do like a mortgage insurance, which they have, if they wanted to have a system that makes up so if you start to default on your mortgage, the insurance will kick in, cover it, something to that effect. Okay, I could see him say, hey, let's look for something like that. But to say we're going to pass a bill to make sure that nobody ever gets kicked out of their home again, essentially, which is what he said, I have a problem with that because all you're doing now is you're federally subsidizing more and more homes across the country.
Yeah, you know what? I just don't feel like paying my mortgage.
That's the other problem.
You can't kick me out of this house. Federal law says you can't kick me out of this house, but you have the money. Nope,
Exactly.
I don't want to pay.
Exactly. You're going to have those. You're now creating another avenue for people that are going to take advantage.
And what's
of
going to happen? They will cease lending money for homes.
Right. And then what it's going to be is that the federal government's just going to start buying up all these homes, and you're going to start doing your mortgage through them. Which is funny because now that we're going to have that MIRA, that My IRA thing that he wants the Treasury to do.
You are skipping all over the place.
Well, it's all kind of related.
Go back to the housing for just a moment.
Fine. Sorry, I was getting on a roll.
You were. Go back to housing just for a moment. What happens if government says, okay, banks, you cannot kick anybody out of the house even for default, okay? And they pass this legislation, and now banks stop loaning money for homes. They stop issuing home loans.
Right, because now they're starting to get the bath.
So now nobody's going to be able to purchase homes. So you're going to have a lot of homes on the market with no buyers. So what does that do to the price?
Destroys it.
Destroys it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have now what, another crash in the housing market? You're going to depreciate properties again?
We're going to create yet another bubble? The same bubble that we all saw coming and nobody did anything about?
I think that would pop the bubble, wouldn't it?
That would destroy it. So, yeah. You know,
as a possibility, right?
Again, when government starts getting – look at Freddie Mae and
Fannie Mae.
Whatever those –
Freddie
that
Mac,
couple that
Fannie
we can't
Mae.
stand. Look at what happened.
We never even invite them to dinner.
Never send them a damn Christmas card. You know, they don't do anything. We invite them to that one picnic. They wouldn't show up.
But with a name like Fannie, I mean, seriously.
But, you know, it's one of those things where the government pretty much owns those two lenders. It doesn't – you can call it whatever you want, but the government pretty much owns those two lenders, just like HUD and a couple of the other ones. And they are the exact reason – they can blame big banks, this, that, but that was part of the reason that our housing markets crashed. And government, once again, was at the helm when the housing market crashed.
Because they had to issue – they mandated that these bad loans be issued in the first place. And then they got pissed off when banks did what was mandated.
Right. When they actually followed through with the mandate that they set in place.
Right. And, listen, it's the people are too stupid to understand what papers they're signing. There's a lot of papers. People are too stupid to understand what it is they're signing, so we just need to make that decision for them.
It's like a used car salesman. And all I can think of is, do you ever see the original Muppet movie?
Yes.
All I can think of is Milton Berle.
Okay.
When he's in the used car lot, and he's like, this one's a gem, and he has the big monster drag it out, and he touches it, and the wheels fall off and everything. Milton Berle, Uncle Milty, is the epitome of the government running the housing market in that particular situation. I think that is the best analogy for the government being in charge of almost everything that it thinks it should be in charge of.
Well, let's look at something else. When Obama says that nobody should be kicked out of their homes, is that not also almost saying like you have a right to a home, right? A right to a house, a right to a home?
Is the government now giving you another right?
The government doesn't give rights. It's through that natural law.
Wait a minute.
No. So
wait.
Let
you and I understand that.
Why are you pointing a beer bottle at me right now?
He doesn't appear to understand that. So in his mind, is he, as the government,
is granting another right?
The monarchy address. Is he not? What did I say?
What? I don't.
I'm sorry.
Weird. So King George was talking, and look, the Soviet Union, right? The Russian Constitution had right to education, right to health care, right to housing, right in there.
Yeah.
So is that what he's creating? We always bring it back to Marxism with him.
It's absolutely amazing how that comes full circle. Well, and he touched on education. And listen.
Whoa. I'm pretty sure that's a crime in most states.
No, not on those being educated.
Oh.
Education in general.
Okay.
But he did touch on education. And one of the things that I didn't have a problem with everything that he said about education. One of the ideas that I thought he had that I think, and I know we have a tendency to slam him every chance we get, but this particular situation, I kind of gave him a little bit of credit. He said that he was trying to organize private sector education and somebody else to kind of get together and start a training seminar in different neighborhoods that wasn't government involved yet. It will be eventually, I'm sure. But that's something that I'm like, hey, that's something that you should be doing. Trying to encourage people, not forcing them, not demanding, but hey, maybe if I can get Group A and Group B to talk and they can help Group C and bring them into it, that might benefit people. I was okay with that. I don't have the clip on that particular thing. I can tell you where it is when we get back from the break, but, we are up against a break already. Gosh darn it. Oh, well. Let's take a break. We're going to be back at 3. We're going to pick up the State of the Union. 347-205-9399 here on the Sackheads Radio Show.